Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show, live on WBON TV Channel 9 and on radio at WEKY, WKXO, and WIRV. Support your favorite teams and sit back and enjoy the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show, brought to you by Bishop Small Engine Repair, the Richmond Raceway, the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill, and Nuevo Vallarta. And now, let's go live with your host, Michael Watkins, and Samantha Burford.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome into the Jack Burford Chevrolet Studios tonight. We have got a fantastic show lined up for you. Michael Watkins, Dawson Rule, Samantha Burford lined up here to talk some high school basketball underway officially tonight, guys, and it's an exciting time. You know, we love football around here, but as a Kentucky person, basketball is like the state's tradition, and I think that's why high school basketball means so much here in the state. And to see it kind of get going tonight with some of our coverage area teams playing, more getting underway tomorrow. We'll have our first game tomorrow. It's an exciting time to be a now basketball fan as we go from football basically right into basketball.
Yeah, we didn't get a break, did we? And that's kind of a good problem to have. But it's also a problem that some of our basketball teams are having because they haven't had lots of practice time because those football players are having to get into basketball shape. So good problem to have.
Well, a lot of these schools, especially Central, when you go deep into the playoffs and you've got half the team on the football roster, they're not in basketball shape. They're in football shape.
And it takes, I mean, when you talk to the coaches, it takes a while. Yeah. It's going to take them through January or part of January.
As we start this show tonight, you know, we look back to last year. Madison Central has all these expectations. Austin Newton trying to create a culture over at Madison Southern on the boys' side. And Berea and Model going through some lumps with a lot of young players. On the girls' side, we heard a lot about Berea. They were a senior-laden team. They had a lot of experience coming back. And it seemed like they had been building toward last year another All-A Classic championship in the region, but they fall short in the district championship game, and Josh Curtis shows how good of a coach he is in winning that district championship. And then you have Madison Central, and we know how good that team is with youth and inexperience. It seems like now they're the ones building towards something, and tonight we'll hear from several of the coaches and several of the players in the area. And it's just, again, it's an exciting time to talk some sports and just go into how things are here in Madison County. We've talked about it for so long, Dawson. We've seen it with golf. We've seen it with cross-country and Kiera O'Shea. Wrestling's now going active. And in football, there are so many terrific, incredible, individual, talented players. And now we turn our attention to basketball, where we might have the most overall individual talent.
I don't recall a year where, in all sports, not just football or basketball, but where there's so much talent at all the schools. Yeah. Usually one school gets it or something like that, but it seems like all the schools this year are just insanely talented.
Well, and I feel like, you know, Madison Central boys typically aren't a very deep team. They're going to be much deeper in the roster this year, and the girls as well. So I think it's going to be a fun, more action-packed, more players. How more exciting can it be? We've gone from football talking about 3 teams to going to talking about 8 teams.
Exactly, yeah.
So exciting.
Well, let's start things off tonight with the defending district champions, Madison Southern boys and girls. They had media day about a month ago. They had their media day where they were taking pictures and everything. I was over there for that. It was a lot of fun being, there, seeing the kids being excited about basketball season starting up. Coach Bedman's now in his first year as the head coach on the boys' side. The girls' side, now they bring in Summer Simmons now as an assistant coach, the former head coach. Also the former head coach at Model from last year. She's now in the fold at Madison Southern. So Josh Curtis has once again surrounded himself with a good staff. The bad news as they get ready to start the season, I think it was last night, maybe Saturday night, I saw Reese Step has once again re-torn her ACL. Was never partially put back together. Not exactly sure.
So another surgery.
Another surgery, meaning
another
she will once again miss the season. And that's so sad because we love Reese. She's a good kid, a really good basketball player. And it's kind of like Kenyatta Harge on the on football field.
Side.
You keep having these setbacks, and you're excited. Okay, now you get back out there. We're excited to see her back out there on the court. Not going to be able to play her senior season. The ACL, another surgery in the works for her.
That's so sad for her because this is her game.
Yeah.
She deserves this. Now, the thing is, she'll have her surgery. She'll be back for college.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited that we'll get to follow her along the way. Campbellsville, right?
Yeah, and there still is another Ashlyn Eastep, her little sister, is still on the team.
Keep it in
She's
the
a good
family.
player. Yeah, so we'll still get a chance to see on her. But Dawson, this year, maybe the biggest expectations from Madison Southern in program history. They've had a lot of really good individual players come through there this year. Before the E-Step injury, they were ranked number 2 in the 11th region in the preseason polls.
I'd say it's biggest for boys and girls, especially girls, because they've taken the next step for a while and they're so close. And then on the boys' side, last year they won their first ever region game and almost won a second one, and they returned most of those guys. So it's a big year for Madison Southern basketball this year.
Let's start with the girls first. How do you manage expectations? Let's talk to Josh Curtis. Let's hear how he will manage those expectations with his team this season.
Well, the first thing about handling expectations when you haven't really had to in the past is learning, that mindset that it's easy to look ahead and to, dream big, which you always want to do. But what we try to work with these girls on is just every day is just one day at a time. We really have tried hard to not have any bad practices, because we've talked to them about, the day you have a bad practice is the day someone else has a good practice and catches up to you. And so, we really just try to take that one day at a time approach with them and just keep their minds on today and not tomorrow.
You talked about having a lot of seniors on the team this year. Obviously, experience is a good thing to have, especially when you're in the 11th region. So, talk about that leadership and how important that's going to be for your team.
Yeah, well, we're blessed. We have 7 seniors. 6 of them have a lot of experience. One of them's transferred in from Illinois, and she started her school up there since 8th grade, so she has a lot. And then, you mix it in with the young talent we have. The Hadley French is obviously Ashlyn Eastep, Lacey Sandlin. You mix young talented players like that with some older experienced players who have been through a lot of battles and regional games and district championships, that it sets up for the potential to have a really good season. But there's a lot that we've got to improve on from now until February.
When you look at the team this year, you talked about having the different types of players. You got some seniors, got some young players. Is there one player that folks may have not heard about that you expect big things from this year?
Yeah, well, I'll give you 2. We've got our core group that everybody should know the names of at least. The transfer from Illinois, she came to us in July, just showed up, and like I said, she started at her old school in Illinois since 8th grade. She's been a great addition to our team. She fits in with our defensive first mentality. She's long and active. I think she's really gonna catch a lot of people off guard just because they don't know about her. And the other one I would say would probably be Lacey Sandlin. She's had a lot of potential, and she's always looked the part, but her mind hasn't quite caught up to her abilities. And I think this past offseason it's finally gotten to that point to where she can go out on the floor and play against any level of varsity and really compete and show who she is. So I think those are 2 names that are going to kind of get their names out there, and we hope so, because we're going to count on them a lot.
You go from a very experienced point guard in Morgan Flannery to, Hadley French, who's still a young player, but she's got some experience as well. Talk about the role that Hadley will play, and playing in the 11th region. She's going to have a lot riding on her shoulders.
Yeah, well, and we've talked to her about the secret's out. Everybody knows how good of a player she is, and so we've tried to work with her. Physically, basketball-wise, she's good to go on that. But we've tried to work with her mentally about how to approach each night and each game, and even each quarter. It's not always going to be the best night possible, and relying on your teammates and trusting them, because she is fortunate enough to have a lot of good players around her to where she doesn't have to force it and do more than she has to. So I think she's mentally prepared for this. She's going through that 8th grade year last year. She's been through it. She knows what it takes, and she knows this year that she's going to have to be ready, because she's going to be number 1 on everybody's scouting report, and so she's going to have to figure out a way to play above those scouting reports.
What can fans expect from the girls team at Madison Southern this year?
We're going to be obviously experienced. We're going to be tall. We're going to try to play fast. You're going to see kids. It may not always be offensively pretty, but I think the one thing people can appreciate the last couple of years, and hopefully this year, is that when they leave watching us play, that those girls played hard. They did everything they could. They got on the floor. They didn't get out toughed. And so we can say we did those things more times than not this season, and I think we're going to be okay.
All right, Hadley, we enter the year, you're a freshman, but people know a lot about Hadley French already. So, as a freshman and having those expectations, is that difficult on you as you enter the season?
I could take it as pretty difficult, but I know I've got my team that has my back, and I can just do anything with them and just take it slow, just take it as much as I can.
Even though you're a freshman and some of these other players are young as well, you all have a lot of experience on this team. How can you use that to have success this season?
Yes, we're very experienced. We all can play the game. We know what needs to happen and what we need to do. So we just gotta focus on us and not let anything else tear us down.
As a young player playing in the 11th region, that can always be very difficult. Well, what does Coach Curtis and the staff, tell you as you go throughout the season about some of the challenges that you're going to face as a young point guard?
Tell me always to remember who I am, keep my head up. I'm going to have bad games, but to always remember who I am.
Is there a game or maybe a part of the season that you're looking forward to the most as you all get ready to begin the year?
I'm already ready for districts, but that's too early, so I just can't wait to get ready.
All right, Jada, we get ready to begin another basketball season. What has Coach Curtis and the staff told you about what your role is going to be on the team this year?
To be honest, we haven't really talked about my role yet, but I would have to assume that it would be heavily defensive and rebounding like it has been in the past.
Last year you had some huge games on the glass. When you're out there playing against some of these, these bigger players and some of the top teams in the 11th region, what is going through your mind when you see a ball out there on the floor?
That it's mine and it's not going to be anyone else's, but otherwise nothing really goes through my head. Just I can get it and you aren't. So
last year you all had a lot of people doubting Madison Southern girls basketball. The year before there were expectations of winning the district championship and making a run in the 11th region. Last year not so much, but you all were still able to do that. So as you all get ready to begin this season, what are the expectations for the team?
I think they're a lot higher this year than they have been last year, because where we traveled so far and we did so well, and a lot of our players have returned and we've gotten new players, people are expecting a lot of us. Like, for example, how we were ranked at number 2 in the region. People are going to have a target on us, so we need to be ready this year.
Losing that game to Franklin County, you all had them on the ropes in that game, but let it slip away. So how can you use that game as motivation and some fuel as you get ready to begin this year?
Well, just use it as drive to not let it happen again, because it was very heartbreaking, because we could have even gotten to state if we wanted to. So it's sad to end the season that way.
Lady Eagles will be in action tonight. They tip off in about an hour and a half against East Jessamine, and it's been an exciting time to be a sports fan over there at Madison Southern. We talked about the girls, now the boys. And some of the polls I've seen, now there's been a lot of different ones circulating around. A lot of people have an opinion on the state and the area here. Madison Southern, I've seen in some polls ranked in the top 25 in the state, and that is big time. But I think these kids deserve it after the season they had last year.
Record-breaking season.
Yeah.
Exactly, and the kind of talent they bring back this season.
There's a lot of talent, and they're young. It's not like they're all seniors. Yeah. Some teams, you'd say, well, maybe Madison Central talent, a lot of it is seniors. Well, Southern, you got to watch out, not just this year, next year, because they're going to get even better. Mm-hmm. So watch out.
One senior, Brett Ursuline, who played football. Brett's coming back. Now, these guys were all in the same grade. They got the Hudson twins and Jay that took that COVID year. But, man, that's just going to make them better and better. And we saw, Samantha, last year, the confidence that those guys play with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with them setting records, Jay Rose is obviously one of the best players in the 11th region. Yeah. This team, those kids have been playing together elementary all through middle school. Their goal now is to not just win district, but they want to win region. They want to get to state. And they should, and this is the team to do that. So
they got a chance. Talk to Coach Bevins, talk to Jay, the Hudson twins, and Brett when I was over there for the media day event. Coach Bevins, in his first year, how can they parlay what they did last year and build on it this season? Let's hear from Coach Bevins and the Madison Southern boys basketball team.
We've got a big majority of our team back from last year. Those guys have they've worked pretty hard. It's been, consistent as far as I was here with them last year. Some of the other assistants were here with them last year. We have had a head coach change, but like we're just trying to keep the train rolling. So there's been a lot of consistency in our program, even with the change. Those guys are used to us. They're used to the system. They're ready to go. I mean, they know that there's some expectations, and there should be, right? So we're ready to go. Try to match those or beat those expectations for sure. We're ready.
As you guys get ready to begin the season, how excited are you to finally take that first step and get that first game out of the way?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been at this a long time. I've coached a few varsity games and stepped in when our coaches have been out, been sick, or had something going on. I've coached varsity games before, but like I'm excited to do it officially. As the head coach. So I'm ready to get rolling. That first game is going to be good. I'm sure it's going to be a first step. It's the first step of many. So we got a lot on the schedule. We've got one of the toughest schedules we've ever had. I've been here for 20 years, and I don't know if I've seen one that's as tough as this one. So, I think that's good, though. I mean, we've got some guys back. I think it'll be good to help prepare us for later in the year, and when we get to tournament time, hopefully we'll be battle tested.
What do you want to see from your team early on that'll give them and you some confidence that you can kind of take on that role of being a team that is expected to do big things?
Yeah, so I mean, there are no holes in our schedule. Those guys are going to be tested from day one. They know that. We've talked about it. We've got guys that have put the time in. We've got a lot of experience. I just want to see them come out and play hard. I want them to hit shots and have fun and go crazy on the bench and do all the things that makes basketball fun. We've had the talk that we all started playing basketball, myself included. We all started playing when we were little kids because basketball was fun, right? So that's something that I'm kind of preaching to these guys is let's have fun with this thing, right? So we want to play well, we want to win games for sure, we want to have fun while we're doing it, and hitting shots and defending and doing all the things that help you win. Those are the fun things, and that's what I want to see those guys do.
Let's talk about the expectations for this team coming off that year you guys had last year and how you can build on that going into this season.
Last year we had a wonderful experience. We beat Central in the district championship. We lost to Frederick Douglass in the semifinals of the region. I feel like we're going to have a really good season this year. We brought everybody back. We lost Nate Turner and a couple other guys, but team chemistry's been there since we were young. I feel like we're going to have a really good year. We just got to gel together, swing the ball. That's about it.
Offensively, you guys have a lot of athletes out there. You've got some guys that can defend, can shoot the ball. Do you think that that's what makes this team unique?
I think that's a really big part of it. You got people, like you said, that can shoot the ball, play defense. Each person plays their own role. But I feel like we've all been together since we was really, really young, and we've always played with one another. So I feel like that plays a huge role in it.
You mentioned that loss to Frederick Douglass, and you guys had that game down the stretch, kind of let it slip away. So how can you use that as a fuel toward this season?
We can use it like crazy. That game still is in my head since every time I wake up. I want that one back. I want it back. I want it back. So I feel like the next step is just to, I think when we played Frederick Douglass, we turned the ball over late in the fourth quarter. So we need to get better at that, get better at the little things, get better at, sharpening our offense, and just be better overall defense.
Talk about, that and, how it's going to be different from going as the underdog to maybe someone people have to respect.
Right. And, it's been for years. We've always been the underdog. No one really believed in us and stuff like that. But, over year and year and year, we've kind of started to prove ourselves a little bit up until last year. Then we beat Central. And, we made a run in the region that I don't think a lot of people thought that we could make. So I feel like that already alone shows that we are good enough to compete with everybody in the region. We are good enough to beat Central. We are good enough to just stick with the big dogs. And I feel like we need to prove it again this year.
All right, Brett, basketball season, it's here. We're getting ready to get things started. Talk about this team and being the only senior on the team, kind of what the expectations are for you going into this year.
Well, I really didn't expect to be the only senior, my freshman year and everything. I just thought all my boys would keep playing. But, I guess I just had to be a leader to everybody. And, just like in football, normally everybody listens to you, so just got to be a good person and, do what's right.
Now, you've had a lot of success on the football field. How can you take that and use that toward basketball?
just like the leadership. I mean, you know, we're like all my entire line's just like seniors, and we basically lead our team. So I mean, just take what I do there here. So.
What are the expectations for you and the team as you guys enter the season?
Win games.
Let's talk about last season and how you guys can use that loss to Frederick Douglass to kind of motivate and fuel you toward the start of this year.
Well, let's see. We always watch that Frederick Douglass game to get motivation from it and see what we did wrong and stuff. And this year we have a tough schedule, so I think we're looking back on that and all the motivation. I think it'll carry on with us this year, and hopefully we'll have a good season against all this tough competition.
Yeah, it's definitely, coaches say it's the hardest schedule they've ever seen, especially Bevins. He's been here 20 years, the hardest schedule he's ever seen. But I really feel like we're ready for it. It's going to help us in the long run. And playing all these teams is just going to make us better. And me not playing last year has given me a little motivation to help my team out a lot this year. And we're going to have one goal, and it's to get to Rupp.
Talk about that. How hard was it last year not being able to be with your team for the entire regular season, and then coming out the way you guys did, winning the district championship, having some of those big moments in the postseason that you can build upon?
Yeah, not playing was rough. Coaching's not very fun for 12 weeks, but I could tell that they really wanted me out there on the floor, and getting back out there and beating Central was something that we've always wanted to do, and this year it's we're going to make sure that happens again and get to where we were and even farther.
Braden, for you, you had to take a kind of a different role last year because of some of the injuries and things like that to begin the season. So how can you take that and use that to build toward this year?
You see, while he was out, Coach Newton, I had a meeting with him, and he told me that I needed to step up into his role, which was scoring. And I feel like I did that for the most part of the season. I contributed as much as I could. And then when he got back, I kind of stepped in to my defensive role, kind of helping my team out with that.
Talk about, some of these other guys on the team. We know about Jay, Brett's coming back, but some of these younger guys, we know Nobby was big last year, Hazelwood, and just this team and how good it really can be.
Yeah, we're really young. Brett's our only senior this year, so most of us, we're going to have 2 years. You got some that'll have 3 or 4 years left. You say Kaysen, he's a really good point guard. He helped us out tremendously last year. Ashton, he's a great shooter. We have Micah, he's a great shooter as well. Avery, he's 6'4", so we got some length. So yeah, we have a lot of depth this year, hopefully.
Yeah, coming into practice and things, we're getting adjusted to the new coaches and stuff, and we're having to rely on each other a little bit right now, and so it's bringing us a little bit together. And I know we're carrying our chemistry over from last year, so that's what's going to keep us together this whole year.
Eagles will be back in action this week as well to get their season underway. Let's take our first commercial break. When we come back, Model Boys. John Morgerson excited about his team this year. We'll hear from them on the other side of this break on the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show.
Hi there, I'm Alan Feldhouse Jr., head basketball coach at Madison Central High School. Here at MCHS, we have built a winning team. And I'd like to tell you about another local winning team, family-owned and operated Bluegrass Restoration and Construction. They specialize in roofing, general construction, and home maintenance services. Just like on the court, you need a team that will work together to get the job done. And that's exactly what BRC does. Give them a call at 859-353-1133. Row Tribe.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
Whether you're in the market for a brand new Chevrolet, you're looking for a pre-owned quality vehicle, or your family car is in need of service by our GM certified technician, Jack Burford has what you need. Come to Jack Burford Chevrolet in Richmond for all of your automotive needs. Family owned and operated since 1964, Jack Burford Chevrolet is your hometown Chevrolet.
Mentality, great prices, great food.